We sat on our Amalfi Villa's terrace, watching the sun dip over the Tyrrhenian Sea. I purchased this villa 5 years ago, and each summer we spend a month here. Camille went indoors to powder her nose, leaving her phone on the table. The screen illuminated, the wine was delightful, and the evening with you surpassed expectations. Anticipating your arrival tomorrow at our hidden spot while your spouse attends his tasting. The message came from Luciano, our neighbor along the coast, the man I introduced to Camille 3 years prior. I took a leisurely sip of chilled Prosecco and smiled. I had no intention of spoiling my vacation with a drama. If she desired a secret rendezvous, I would provide one she'd never forget. An unexpected message like that might make you expect the wine to taste sour. It didn't. The Prosecco maintained its familiar flavor on that terrace. The sea retained its usual appearance. The only change was within me, and even that change was softer than I would have thought. Minutes later, she emerged again, slipping her phone into her bag without looking at it. The scent of Christmas perfume wafted over our table. Leaning over my chair, she kissed me gently on the head and inquired about food order. I agreed to anything she desired, and she chuckled, mentioning the chef from the nearby establishment. As the sun's last rays touched her hair, I found myself pondering 20 years with her 3 years of Luciano seemingly intertwining during that time while pouring wine. Silence was my only response, no words escaping me then. Meanwhile, tomorrow began to shape in my mind as I watched her browse the menu, peaceful as smoothing a napkin. That night, she nestled into my shoulder as she had for 2 decades. I kissed her forehead and shared that I'd been contemplating our future. Tomorrow, we should venture into town together, just the both of us, for a full day out, shopping included. Mealtime, her favorite long stroll along the cliffside, she beamed, reminiscent of a youthful spirit, the expression once capable of unraveling me. That evening, I merely smiled in response and switched off the light. In the dawn, I escorted her to the boutiques. The Dior gown she had long coveted, the cream one with the delicate straps that restored her youthful allure. I purchased it without hesitation, neglected to check the cost, directed the attendant to wrap it. Observed my spouse twirl in the reflective surface, a woman seemingly unaware of an impending rendezvous with another man the following day. We dined by the water's edge. She clutched my hand across the table. She expressed her longing for days like this. I concurred, carrying a meaning she couldn't fathom. Over coffee, as if discussing the weather, I disclosed my planned surprise for her the next day. My prearranged wine-tasting journey in the hills was finally confirmed for the morning, I informed her. A whole day. Wineries, the works. Before she awoke, I planned to depart, yet I didn't want her isolated at the villa. Thus, I arranged something for her, a personal yacht just for her, the ocean, a captain, lunch on the water, whole afternoon. Her surprise would greet her at the pier at 10. She should have seen her reaction. She placed her hand on mine and labeled me the most wonderful man in existence. She claimed she wasn't worthy of me. Don't fret about that, I assured her. She'd receive what was due. Back at the villa, she immediately headed to the bedroom to don the new dress again, planning her day aloud with the door open. Sandals, the gold earrings I presented on our 10th anniversary, the straw hat. A tiny glass of red wine was already in my hand by the time I emerged onto the terrace. The very same terrace, the identical chair, the phone still on the table. The marina contact surfaced on my own device. Verified the boat, verified the captain, then back inside, a peck on her cheek. And a gentle reminder to rest well. Big day approaching tomorrow. 6 o'clock saw the alarm ringing. I chose to let her slumber on. Quietly, I donned my clothes, picked up my travel bag, and tiptoed to the kitchen. The villa presented that unique tranquility of early morning twilight, pale light shimmering, ocean scent wafting in through the open windows. Tiles felt chilly beneath my bare feet. Coffee brewed swiftly, rich, a preference I share. Then up to our room, where I stood at the doorway for an extended moment, gazing upon her asleep. Her hair spread on the pillow, the new Dior gown neatly arranged on a corner chair, waiting for her morning unveiling. She exuded serenity, unaware of the events unfolding. As she started to stir, I perched on the bed's edge and informed her of my departure for the tasting. A cheek peck, a reminder about the captain at 10, and a hope that she would savor every second. She murmured affectionately into the pillow for me. I reassured her of our reunion later in the night. Bag in hand, I descended the stairs, exited to the car. Drove for 5 minutes along the seashore road, stopped at a concealed spot in a familiar cafe, ordered an espresso, and confirmed my plans to the captain via text. He responded affirmatively. The morning's events were imminent. My task also involved Luciano. I retrieved her tablet from the kitchen counter where it was charging and sent him a brief message in her voice. Arranged for him to join me on the yacht at 9:30. Mentioned I had something special planned for both of us. Informed him my husband had departed for a tasting in the hills. He responded promptly, confirming his attendance and adding an affectionate emoticon. I cleaned the tablet screen with my shirt's edge and put it back in its original place. By 8:30, I was on my way to the marina. The captain greeted me at the end of the dock, his face betraying the calmness characteristic of the skilled ones. I gripped his hand, guided him through the morning routine again, and handed him an envelope substantial enough for clear recall of all instructions. A single nod from him was sufficient. By 9:15, I found Camille still in the upper chambers. The shower hummed, her phone played music softly. She remained oblivious to my presence within the house. In the villa's kitchen, I brewed a fresh espresso and ventured onto the terrace behind the lemon trees where the shaded wrought iron bench stood. My tablet on the dining table was ready, camera aimed at the chair I'd occupy. All set, I waited. At 5 minutes to 10, she descended the stairs like a woman embarking on the finest day of her existence. The Dior dress, the straw hat, and golden earrings complemented her appearance. She engaged with her reflection in the hallway mirror, seeking approval, chuckling at her response. Behind the lemon trees, I observed as she picked up her tiny white handbag, put on her sandals, and drifted out the front gate towards the path heading towards the pier. Humming, it was my wife humming. I waited for around 10 minutes before I stepped back inside, settled at the extended dining table where the tablet awaited, and scrutinized the framing one last time. I adjusted my linen shirt's collar, took a sip of espresso, and the words from the previous night were neatly folded on a paper beside the keyboard, but they were no longer necessary. Each line was already etched in my memory. I pressed record, sat down, looked into the camera, and waited briefly before offering a small smile and commencing. At the pier, the morning was behaving just as mornings often do. Pale gold rays glistening on the water, seagulls circling over the harbor, the scent of salt and coffee emanating from the bar at the end of the dock. Camille strolled up in her Dior gown, as if she was the place's proprietor. The captain stood politely, extending a hand for assistance. With a familiar smile, she boarded, seeking an icy beverage, a chilled glass, rose petals, anything her mind had envisioned. Instead, she found Luciano lounging in yesterday's shirt, his hair still wet from a recent shower, as bewildered as a man could appear. Upon noticing her, he stood up. She halted. Both remained silent for a brief moment. Her gaze then wandered past him, landing on the suitcases neatly arranged on the deck. They were hers, the large one, the carry-on, and the garment bag with a dress inside. Taking a step toward Luciano to inquire, the engine unexpectedly hummed beneath her feet. The captain didn't utter a word. He effortlessly pulled the boat away from the pier, rotated the bow, and aimed it towards the open sea, executing his maneuvers with ease and tranquility. Camille cast a glance at the dock as it receded from her, and there was a palpable sense of something chilling in her heart. The straw hat, the Dior gown, the purse containing her daily schedule, all of it now seemed absurd on that deck. Luciano slumped back into his seat, hid his face in his hands momentarily before lifting them up, staring at the planks beneath him. He had no intention of helping her. He was already 100 miles away in thought, contemplating how to return home without his wife at the winery, realizing he had spent the night pursuing another's affection. Camille approached the railing. She clutched it tightly with both hands. She looked back one last time at the shore, the villa perched on the hill, standing out against the green landscape, a reminder of the terrace she had left barely an hour ago. She didn't spot me, but I observed her. The tablet resting on the table continued to stream the live feed from the captain's camera, positioned as instructed by me. Her shoulders moved subtly only once. Then her personal tablet within her bag produced a soft chime. She reached for it with hands that trembled slightly. It was a notification, followed by a video file sent from my end. She glanced at Luciano, who remained unfazed. She activated the video. There I was on the screen, seated on our terrace, the same spot where she had left her phone 2 nights prior. Wearing a white linen shirt, an espresso in front of me. The lemon trees behind me, I appeared composed. In truth, I felt at ease. A subtle smile graced my lips. Speaking as if we were still sharing a breakfast, I said, "Camille, the boat payment goes as far as Naples. The captain will drop you off at the port, and a taxi will be there to transport you to a hotel." An email this morning contained the legal documents. I'm retaining the villa. It was purchased before our marriage. Yesterday's closing of our joint account placed your funds in your individual one. A fresh start awaits. 2 decades proved prosperous. From here on, we each embark on separate paths. A leisurely espresso sip, its placement, a subtle nod to the lens, and the video concluded. Camille settled onto the bench alongside the railing gradually. Her tablet grew lifeless in her lap, screen blank. No tears yet, not at that moment. Instead, she fixed her gaze on the deck as if seeking answers. The vessel persisted its course. Village after village drifted past her periphery. The white houses clung to the cliffs, orange roofs adorning them, church bells resonating over the water as they often do during that hour. Now the same coast was receding from Camille at 12 knots. At the villa, I shut down the tablet and rose, loosening my shoulders. The terrace now bathed in sunlight, tiles warmed, lemon trees emitting their pungent scent as heat struck them. In a tree's branches, a lone bird, the serene sea below, a neatly folded linen napkin, myself who carried the empty espresso cup to the kitchen and rinsed it, now standing upright side down on a towel by the sink. The phone on the counter beeped once, a message from the captain, on schedule. I read it, placing the phone face down on the marble. I responded, then went upstairs to change for the spa. The entire spa was booked for the remainder of the journey, 3 weeks ahead. Mornings meant massages, afternoons were for saunas, and dinners could be brought up to a poolside lounger if desired. This arrangement had been made 2 days prior but not shared with her. I strolled down the soft-soled path in a robe, slippers on my feet. The receptionist greeted me warmly by name, leading me to the terrace near the larger pool, offering a panoramic view of the cliffs. The water shimmered turquoise, no one else in sight. A small table with a chilled mineral water waited. I settled onto the lounger. Closed eyes for a moment, felt Stone's warmth through my robe. Thought of Camille, likely past the headland by then, wind in her hair and Dior dress not meeting her expectations. Luciano fixated on his shoes, revisiting our shared years, dinners, trips, the woman I adored and the man I unwisely presented to her. Let it all slip away. Breathed out deeply, a release years in the making. Didn't argue or yell, merely closed that chapter and moved forward. The sea sounded refreshing then. That was last summer. Camille returned to America. Last news said she lives in Charleston. Luciano sold his coastal property within 3 months, his wife collecting their children and returning to Milan. I still visit Amalfi each July, the villa and terrace mine alone now, just a single share remaining. Thanks for your likes. Subscribe. More unspoken tales lie ahead.